Okay, it's Matt and Josh from USellComics.com. I thought we would go over, now that the Flash is out on digital,
Mm-hmm.
probably giving
Yes.
people time to see it. There was an interesting article that came out from comicbookmovie.com that kind of listed the history of what we could have got. So I thought we'd just go through and talk about each little tidbit.
Tidbitties. Should we start with what we thought of the movie, or do we want to
Well, I guess we
save?
haven't really done that, have we?
Guess we haven't.
Okay, you go first.
Okay. Well, wasn't expecting to be put on the spot for this one, but that's okay. Um, it was like average, maybe like above average. A
Above
little bit,
average. Okay.
a tiny bit, and by above average, I say if five is the average, then six. Um, I felt like the first two-thirds of the movie was pretty good,
Okay.
and then the last act of the movie kind of fell apart. There's a lot going on. I feel like even though they had a lot of characters intertwined in the final act, that it's still, fairly focused on Flash in a decent way.
Right.
Uh, I thought that the effects almost kind of took me out of it a little bit. Um, I also thought, like again, like it almost felt like the writing was, decent halfway through, and then, the rewrites kind of happened, and it all just kind of like poo-pooed. Um, didn't love Ezra in this, as everybody says that they. Oh wow, he's such a
You mean you weren't a
so
14-year-old girl he groomed?
no. So, with that being said, I actually found him a little annoying after
5 minutes?
I was gonna say 20 minutes, but here we are. So, stellar acting from Keaton though.
Yeah.
Fuck, Michael Keaton did great. The girl who
Sasha
played
Calais.
Supergirl, she was all right. Everyone was like, she did amazing.
How dare you?
Right. The girl who played Iris also just no. What was that? Like, what did they have any chemistry? Did they test anything there? Holy fuck, zero.
She really kind of wasn't in it that much, though, was she?
Yeah, but like still like, oh, I'm Iris West. It's like, okay, like,
Yeah.
are we gonna do anything with this or no?
Yeah.
It's just like it, like sure, the music was like, enlightening and whatever. But it's just like it just I don't know. It just felt like it was kind of like a waste of time. Um, I'm glad that they didn't focus a lot on Zod and stuff, which was nice. I figured that they were gonna give a good chunk of time to that, and thankfully they didn't. I felt also like young Barry, teenage Barry, I guess, or whatever, was pretty annoying. Yeah,
Okay. So you give it like a 6 out of 10.
maybe a six. Let's maybe a 5.5.
Five and a half.
Those CGI cameos at the end were
Yeah.
they were rough. Like I don't know what the plan was there. If they were trying to distract us from what we had just finished watching, and they were trying to be like, oh yeah, throw some
They are
extra shit
giving
in
you
here.
cool member berries.
Well, it would have been cool if it was cool. It didn't seem all that cool, and I mean they didn't look amazing, but the Nick Cage one actually was pretty funny, man. And the fact that they did like two scenes, not only like just like not a face like anything, it was like a full suit,
Yeah.
pan away, different scene happened, then they went back to him. That was crazy, dog. That was crazy.
Okay.
Jesus.
My review of it is I find Ezra Miller pretty annoying. He had some moments where I thought he was funny.
Agreed.
There are some lines in the script that I feel like, and we'll find this out later, but I feel like John Francis Daly had a lot of lines, comedy lines in this, and it wasn't written by Christina Hodson. Michael Keaton he was great. I enjoyed Sacha Calle more than you did as Supergirl.
I don't think they gave her enough time.
Sure, she could have been.
They could have vetted her out way more.
Yeah, it should have been just Keaton and Supergirl, and we could have left the Flash out of it. They really didn't give Michael Shannon a whole lot to do. Like,
no, but I think he really only had one purpose, and that was fine by me because, like, why it hasn't changed since. They were just after her. So.
I guess I just don't. I don't know why you needed to do Zod to do this story. You could have used a different villain. You could have used Reverse Flash.
Oh yeah, 100%. I feel like they wanted to use someone that was familiar, and that was it. I feel like all this stuff happened. Once all this stuff started happening, they had written the script, the first or second time.
And well, you'll see this had multiple rewrites since 2014.
Yes.
According to this article.
Excuse me, we're going to go through the history.
So I would give it a 5. The Nick Cage thing was funny with the spider from Kevin Smith's script back in the day. Christopher Reeve's thing was fine. Like, the CGI was bad. The CGI in the time warp, when they're in going through time, that arena they're in looked terrible. It did kind of pull you out of the movie a bit because you're like, oh, this is so bad. What am I watching? I know the director said that was on purpose. I don't believe that. I'm glad I didn't see it in theaters.
Other ways you can do it.
I didn't go to waste my time in theaters. I could watch it at home, so I'm glad I did that.
Dude,
but
same.
It's not. I don't think it's the worst DCEU movie.
I don't think so either. I think it's definitely, better than a few others, and as a whole, also pretty good. The other, well, not the other issue, but one of the main issues is, I just listed it as a 6 or a 5.5. You listed it as a 5 out of 10.
Yeah. We
had James Gunn tell us how many times that this was,
and Tom Cruise.
Like, it's like, well, guys, what are we doing now? Like, if that's good, like if that's the best, now we gotta worry.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that didn't sit right with me because I knew it wasn't gonna be as good as they said. But
well, it's weird that Tom Cruise said it. Like, I get James Gunn saying it because he's the head of the studio and he doesn't want to lose too much money on it. But
I feel like they persuaded him or asked him to say something.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
I don't know. And I don't think it's them. Like, I don't think it's Marvel asked them. I think it's like the studio execs. The presidents went to Tom Cruise and like, hey, I need you to boost some movie stuff. So just
do us a Scientology solid.
Go fucking do us a solid and talk all about us for a good couple weeks, okay? Bye.
Okay, so that's our review. It wasn't great. It wasn't totally bad. Birds of Prey was far worse. I assume I only got through 10 minutes of it because it was that bad. But the first Suicide Squad by David Ayer was really bad. Was worse than this. Wonder Woman, the first one, was far better.
I would say that's probably one of the best DCU films they have. That Aquaman one and probably the Batman, to be honest.
Batman versus Superman?
I said the Batman.
Oh, the Batman. Oh, yeah. That, but that's not.
Here's the thing.
That's a different.
We're getting off on a little bit of a side quest, so we'll get back onto the main quest here. I didn't hate Man versus Steel or Batman versus Superman. Man of Steel. Or Batman versus Superman. I didn't really hate those movies. Like, I kind of like them, to be honest. Obviously Justice League was a little tough. Yeah.
I'm just gonna wholeheartedly disagree with you on Man of Steel.
Mm.
He doesn't. Zack Snyder does not fundamentally understand the character of Superman. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So we're gonna talk about the Flash today.
And that's the bit.
Okay, so comicbookmovie.com put together a list of a history of the Flash, the script rewrites, what we could have got, what we did get. I thought we'd kind of go through each little one here and see if we thought one would be better than what we got or sounded better. So in October 2014, The Flash was announced. After being heavily rumored for years, Warner Bros. Officially announced plans for a Flash movie in 2014. The DC Extended Universe was initially slated for 2018, and Grant Gustin's Flash TV show on the CW had just premiered. Little else was known about this film except that Ezra Miller was expected to make a cameo in the upcoming Batman vs Superman film before starring in a solo outing. At the time, there was a whole different regime sitting at the head of the studio. Warner Brothers chairman Kevin Shujara actually unveiled the film during a Time Warner's earnings call. And the Conjuring director James Wan was given the choice of directing The Flash or Aquaman, and he wisely chose the latter. So in April 2015, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller of the Lego Movie, Han Solo. Did they do 21 Jump Street too?
I can't remember.
They were on Han Solo, but that got booted off. So they were assigned to write a treatment for the Flash movie with an option to direct the film if they desired. Lord and Miller delivered their treatment, but ultimately opted to direct Solo: Star Wars Story for Lucasfilm. They would eventually circle back to WB in the Flash after leaving the Han Solo project over creative differences. The pair would go on to write and produce Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, so their decision to pass on Han Solo and the Flash proved to be a wise decision. I don't think they passed on Han Solo. Weren't they in the middle of shooting and Kennedy fired them?
If I'm not mistaken, I believe
came in
they
after?
were in the middle.
I feel like this is a little bit
of
revisionist history that they decided to pass on Han Solo. I'm pretty sure they were into filming, and she did not like the dailies and the tone. So they let them go. Yeah. It wasn't until earlier this year that Lord and Miller spoke about their time on the project. It did not involve time travel. It was not a multiversal story. So I think it's safe to say that the current movie is its own unique thing. Lord added a lot of our treatment was about how much food he had to consume.
That would have been funny.
I think they would have done
interesting, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they would have done a better job at the comedy tone of it.
Yeah. Oh, they did. They would have done way better if they went from beginning to finish with their vision. The movie would have been so much better.
I don't think it would have fit in the tone that DCEU was going for at the time, right? They were going dark and gritty, and so I understand why they didn't take Miller and Lord's treatment, because they're just, they're funny guys. They're haha funny guys.
Yes, they're, and well, I mean, I think they're clever too.
Yeah. So after that, in October 2015, we had a Seth Graham Smith script. He was brought in to write and direct The Flash based on a treatment from Lord and Miller. So they wrote the kind of synopsis, and then he wrote a script based off that. His script was rumored to center on Barry being determined to travel back in time to save his mother and prove his father's innocence after traveling back in time to save the day in Justice League. He would go on to learn of a program by the U.S. government that sought to harness the power of the Speed Force, and the scientist heading up that program is Eobard Thawne. Barry successfully travels back in time and learns that Thawne is the individual responsible for his mother's death. Cyborg makes a cameo appearance, which is, my understanding, far closer to the origin story of the Flash than anything in the movie. Not much is known about this version, but it was rumored that the villains of the film would be the Rogues, who would be depicted as nightmarish monsters, victims of science experiments gone wrong. I don't know about that one. By the same government department that was headed by Thawne. Josh?
What just happened?
I don't know. You got booted out.
That was weird. I literally were just talking, and all of a sudden it just was like, bloop, and then back in.
I can't see your face though. Not that it matters.
Oh, well, that's a. Hey.
Not much is known about
Throw it in.
this version, but it was rumored to film Thawne. The film was said to have a campy horror vibe. It's an interesting
cool.
direction for it. In the wake of Batman vs Superman, Superman's muted box office gross in spring 2016, Warner Brothers reportedly rethought its decision to have a first-time director helm their big-budget superhero tentpole and moved on, citing creative differences. In June 2016, so we're almost a year later, Rick Famuyiwa script. So after Graham Smith departed, dope director Rick Famuyiwa was brought in to direct and also revise the script. In his version, it was rumored that the film was going to be given a more mature tone. Cyborg's role is beefed up. Thawne is still present in this film, but is more of a looming threat that's being saved for future films. In his script, Barry is still trying to figure out how to travel back and save his mother with the help of Cyborg when his day job as a forensic scientist sees him involved with investigating other corrupt officers in his precinct who are on the payroll of a local mobster. When the Flash gets too close to exposing them, the mob turns to Leonard Snart, a.k.a. Captain Cold. Cold actually manages to kill Flash's love interest, Iris West, but Barry manages to team up with Cyborg and travel back in time one day, save Iris, and take Snart down. The film ends with Barry and Cyborg working on a cosmic treadmill, a device that will allow Barry to travel back in time much further. Development on his script moved forward to the point that Kersey Clemens was selected to portray Iris West, while Billy Crudup was brought in to play Henry Allen. One of the brothers apparently didn't like the dark nature of Famuyiwa's script, as it echoed a period of political unrest in the real world surrounding police brutality. Famuyiwa refused to change his script and departed creative differences. His version would ultimately be scrapped, and he would go on to become a fixture on The Mandalorian, directing several episodes. This one sounds awesome.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know how. Well, I do know how money, but
money.
I don't know how studio execs looked at this and went, "This is a banger of a story." Like, why don't we? You know what I mean?
Yep.
I feel like we're gonna get more and more frustrated as we read this more and more, and time goes on. But that's fine.
Yeah, like you have the overall looming threat. You have a good villain that everyone knows. You have stakes, and he killed Iris. And you have them saving the day at the end, and it builds to a bigger thing of the cosmic treadmill. So you have set up a sequel.
Yeah.
So, and you had Cyborg in it, which people, they're Cyborg fans. So, I don't know. It feels like this would have been the best one so far of the possible Flash movies that could have been made. In January 2017, Joby Harold completes a rewrite.
Joby.
I don't know who this guy is. I've never heard of him. Joby Harold.
Jobs.
Screenwriter. It's a weird name, Joby. He is done. Obi-Wan, Transformers: Rise of the Beast, ended tomorrow, and he was credited on The Flash. Army of Dead screenplay. So he's not bad. I mean, I liked King Arthur. It didn't go anywhere. Like, it was supposed to be a whole universe, but it didn't go anywhere. Army of the Dead wasn't great, but it was fine as an action movie. I'm not sure which Obi-Wan series it did. All of them, it was okay. And Transformers: Rise of the Beast was like okay. It's not. He's a serviceable screenwriter. Okay, so it's rumored that Harold's version opens with Barry focusing on trying to learn more about his powers, but not specifically trying to learn how to travel back in time. Cyborg is present, designing a series of tests to determine the upper limits of Barry's abilities.
That's cool that they're just there together.
Yeah, we need a training montage.
Yeah, that's
throughout the course. Throughout the course of the film, Barry battles the Rogues, criminals who have stolen high-tech weaponry from Star Labs. Their goal is to steal and sell alien tech left over from Zod's invasion of Man of Steel, and the Apocalypse tech from Steppenwolf's invasion of Justice League in Justice League. The Rogues each set off a series of traps in Central City to occupy the Flash while they buy themselves enough time to pull off the heist. Again, like, this one doesn't sound better than a Rick Famuyiwa script, but this sounds better than, again, what we got.
Yep.
Yeah, the Rogues, I imagine it would have been a bit hard to give all the Rogues enough screen time, but I guess if they're doing it all at once, you kind of, if they're doing it as a team, you would have got that on screen, a decent amount of screen time for them. So then that was January 2017, which was
That's crazy, dude. That feels like
6 months
yesterday, man.
after his Brickman US script. So then in July 2017, Robert Zemeckis, which is a legendary director, frontrunner to direct film, was retitled Flashpoint at San Diego Comic-Con. Justice League wouldn't be released until November 2017, but it's clear that the powers to that be at Warner Brothers were already weighing the option of a potential reboot. Robert Zemeckis of Back to the Future fame was the frontrunner to direct, and the movie retitled Flashpoint. Harold's script is complete. How much money did Warner Brothers spend on scripts?
Yeah.
It must have been millions of dollars just on scripts.
Easy. Minimum.
Harold's script is completely thrown out at the studio as the studio weighs its options for a reboot, though Zemeckis never officially signed up for the project. It is clear that WB wanted to go in a new direction, and Flashpoint was the mechanism to accomplish this. Okay, so not long after, like 6 months later, John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein come on board. Title changes back to The Flash. He wrote Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I think they wrote it together, actually. I think they're
Oh, really?
partners. Yeah.
Oh.
Which is why I think his jokes were in the current version of The Flash more than Christina Hodson. It kind of had the flavor of the jokes from, right? In January 2018, Walter Hamada was promoted to oversee Warner Brothers DC Comics output, replacing Jeff Johns and John Berg. The Flashpoint storyline was reportedly dialed back quite a bit and reworked to be a self-contained story with no wider implications for the rest of DCEU. So at that point, they knew the ship was going down.
Yeah, exactly. Jesus.
Warner Brothers was reportedly keen on replicating the self-contained front approach seen in billion-dollar grossing Aquaman instead of continuing on the dark, gritty style of Zack Snyder. Speaking to Variety earlier this year, the duo shared what their take on the film would have been. We pitched this idea of a ground-level superhero where it isn't entirely end-of-the-world stakes. Daly said he's just learning his powers. It's also somewhat dysfunctional with his life. The more imperfect we can make a superhero, the better, because that's the inherent challenge. How do you give imperfection to someone that is, physically perfect? They also met with Ezra Miller to discuss the script, and it seems things didn't go well. They were intense and very bright, Goldstein said of Miller. Later, it became clear they didn't want to quite do the same thing as we did. There's a number of creative differences that caused us at a certain point to decide that it was time to go, Daly said before Goldstein added, if we feel like the powers that be aren't excited about making the same movie as we are, we're not going to win that battle, and so it's better to cut your losses and get out of there. Although they moved on from The Flash years ago, Daly and Goldstein still share story credit on the finished movie.
Jesus.
So then, let's see. So almost a year goes by while they were working this out. Then in March 2019, Ezra Miller and Grant Morrison, who writes a lot of comics, and he's done New X-Men, he's had a run on Batman. After months of rumors, Jeff Johns officially stepped down from his executive role at DC Entertainment in June 2018. He had already succeeded by Hamada, it's Hamada, not Hamada, many months prior, so there was little for Johns to oversee. Ezra Miller already apparently really liked the serious nature of the previous scripts, particularly Rick Famuyiwa's version and he did not like the new lighter direction present in Daly and Goldstein's script. To that end, Miller lobbied WB for a chance to write his own script. Oh, God. Write his own script and was given a week to do so. Oh, this sounds like the Star wants to give it a shot. There's no way we're gonna use a script, but let's just let him think he's got a week to do it. Miller teamed up with a celebrated comic book writer, Grant Morrison, and secluded themselves away to brainstorm ideas. Morrison previously shared there had been a few versions of the film. As far as I remember, Ezra just wasn't quite happy with what they were getting at the time, and Ezra had a lot of ideas. They came to me with a book of ideas, and then we worked together. Really was just the two of us. They came over here to Scotland and hung out. And we wrote this thing. I really liked it. Warner Brothers only gave us 2 weeks. He says it was 2 weeks. Reports also say it was 1 week. It was cruelty, it was hardcore. We had to be like the Flash to get this thing done, and they were looking for something quite different. So 2 months later, after they said no to that script, In July 2019, Christina Hodson and Amy Machete came on board.
Yeah.
It was reported that even before all the drama surrounding Ezra Miller started, Daly and Goldstein found Miller somewhat difficult to work with. Shocker. The final straw was apparently Miller's decision to go off and write his own script. Following their departure, the studio turned to director Andy Machete and writer Christina Hodson to develop the film. Machete's hire was seen as the studio seeking to recapture the Aquaman magic by bringing in a horror director. The studio was also said to be pleased with Hodson's script for Bird of Prey, which was I feel like you liked it, right? Bird of Prey, or no?
I didn't mind it. Like, I thought it was either average or just, like, again, above average. I mean, I watched the whole thing. You didn't. I understand. There was a lot of interesting choices. But, again, I kind of, like, enjoyed a lot of parts.
So we tapped out at Rosie Perez showing up.
Yeah, I think
which we like Rosie Perez.
Minutes, I thought.
But yeah, it was 15 minutes in. We like Rosie Perez as an actress, but we just didn't. I don't know what she was doing in that. I don't know. The dialogue was terrible. If they thought that they were happy with that script, and they thought this is the pinnacle, this is the best we could do.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Not great.
So, despite the number of hands on the project, Hodson received sole script writing credit for the film, while Dilly and Goldstein received story credits. Prior to the release, the film was hyped as the greatest comic book movie ever. They're of all time.
Unfortunate.
However, the film's box office performance indicates that was delivered as anything but.
Yes.
There are at least two in here that I would have been interested. I mean, we don't know what Zemeckis would have done. Obviously, he had, 3 great movies with Back to the Future. He's had other great movies.
Yeah.
Like
would this would have been his, like, comeback almost, Like, I wouldn't say comeback. He's done stuff that's recent, but...
Contact, Forrest Gump, Flight. Finch. Oh, the last thing he did was Finch.
He did Contact?
Yeah.
That's dope.
Oh, he was
Contact was sick.
Oh, that is not the one of the best. That is not the what if I thought it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Contact with one of the best
director,
the best mirror tricks
Back
ever.
to the Future.
That shit was crazy.
Polar Express, Castaway. Yeah, he does a lot of Tom Hanks movies. So he's a solid. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Like he.
Oh wow, yeah.
Romancing the Stone. He knows how to do action. He knows how to do comedy. He knows how to do time travel. I don't think the tone would have been dark and gritty.
I don't think so.
And I don't think he was someone Warner Brothers could have bossed around. Like if they wanted to make changes to his movie, he probably would have had final cut and.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny. I feel like they didn't want to include anybody from the Justice League, but they wanted to include people from the Justice League because they wanted recognition. So then they weren't sure what, you know what I mean? Like, oh, so, let's not put in Batman, let's put in someone else. Oh, okay, well, like, no, we need Batman in it because Barry can't carry the story himself. So let's make someone a surprise then. And then Batman will be in the promos. And it's like, okay, well then who's going to be a surprise? Well, we got to bring back Wonder Woman. And it's like, dog, like, fuck. Although it's
I don't even think Ezra Miller could have carried it before the scandal on his own.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yay.
It's the right choice. Yeah, so we had at least 2 different versions here that I really would have been interested to see. Would have been 100% better. Especially Femi-Yiwa's script. Femi-Yiwa's, however you say that.
Yeah, his script, Phil and Chris's script. Either of those would have been...
John Francis Daly, Jonathan Goldstein.
Either of those would have been so fucking good. But then...
And these, like, John Francis Daly, Jonathan Goldstein probably would have been kind of the same tone, just a different story than Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. That would have been a lighter comedic tone, with Rick Famuyiwa's script being darker. I would have liked to see either one. Like I'm fine with DC. I was fine with DC being darker and grittier than Marvel. They just weren't good at it. So Rick seems to be quite the competent filmmaker with The Mandalorian. He's done some of the better episodes for directing. So I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll give him another shot in the next DCU. James Gunn. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll have to see what how James Gunn handles the tone, and because we know James can do dark. He can go super dark as Guardians of the Galaxy, pull your heartstrings that animals are being tortured.
Yeah, and I want to rewatch the movie.
What?
I want to rewatch the movie.
It's out on Disney Plus yesterday.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, I just in general, just it was that good. I just want to rewatch it.
Yeah.
Damn, it was good.
Well, that was the history of the Flash and what could have been in our review.
Tears were shed.
Pretty average score.
We could have had Captain Cold. We could have had fucking Cyborg.
Maybe Gorilla.
Shit would have made sense. It would have been cool.
Yeah. Okay. So Matt and Josh from sellcomics.com. If you're looking to buy comics or sell comics, go there. Thanks.